Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Maya, and as you can tell from the title, you're going to be following along with me as I read Hunger Games for the first time, the entire series. I made a video on TikTok about me starting to read it, and I also said in my TBR video that I was going to start reading the series, and I've officially started. And once again, I think it's crazy that I have never read it, even though I love the movies and I've seen the movies so many times. I mentioned in my Roman Empire book list video that I was a huge Twilight girly, and I loved book series. I loved so many of them, and I feel like I read a good majority of them, but I've never read Hunger Games. And the time has come for me to do that. It's time. I've been wanting to do it for so long, and I thought, why not vlog it? Because of course I want you guys to come on this journey with me. I also want to make the video because I feel like it will make me read it faster, because I legit want to just get through it and then get to Songbirds and then get to Sunrise on the Reaping, which I believe that's what the newest one is called. I'm trying to avoid spoilers at all costs because I really want to read that book. Many fans of that franchise have always wanted to get a story on Haymitch and his life and his games. My sister has read the series and she really liked it. She actually didn't read it too long ago, and even she said it was really good, just as good as the book, and it explains things so much more, which I will get into because I completely agree. I'm literally this much in. I've barely been reading it at all. Chapter 6. I'm literally only on chapter 6, so I need to get on my grind and keep reading. So I just wanted to make this little intro for the video before I really delve into my thoughts on the book, because I do have a lot of thoughts on it, and just give my opinions on them and read it for the first time, which I think will be pretty fun to document. I want to finish this book in maybe the next 2 days because, like I've said before, I'm a slow reader. Is it ever really a video of mine if there's no dogs barking in the background? No, it's not. So I'm going to start reading and I will get back to you guys soon. Before I get right into reading mode, I thought I'd make myself a little snack. I'm just gonna have an orange and then I'm gonna eat grapes. Why do some of them look like that? I'm still gonna eat them. I forgot the tahini. I'm literally obsessed with tahini. Like, I cannot eat fruit without it. Now it's done. Let's get to reading. Okay, since I'm kind of getting into the book and I feel like there are some things that I legit want to talk about, let's start off from the beginning. So far, I literally love the book. I feel like it's so much more detailed, which is obviously the case for a lot of like book movie adaptations. I literally talked about this in a TikTok video that I made about them explaining how the names get put into the reaping bowl for the Hunger Games. But I think it's crazy that Katniss's name, due to Katniss needing to pull out like grain and oil for Prim, herself and her mother, like you can do that. You can get food, or they call it grain and oil. It's called a tesora. I hope I'm saying that right. And you can get that, but then if you get that, you have to give your name, and that's you putting your name in the bowl for the reaping. And Katniss did this for herself, Prim, and her mom like multiple times. So Katniss's name was in the bowl 20 times. And Prim's name was only in the bowl once, and Prim still got picked. And I think that's literally so crazy, because that just puts so many things into perspective. Like, how on earth in this world did Prim get picked? It's literally like she just had the worst luck ever. Like, the odds were her favor, but she still got picked. That's one thing that I think is crazy. When I posted that video on TikTok, someone had slid up on the comment. They said the books are like companion books to the movies. And I think that's completely true, because there's like tiny nitpicky things in the book that they explain, but then they don't explain it in the movie. Like I just talked about with Prim's name being put in the bowl once. Also, I feel like another thing that I love is that Katniss's like fiery energy and her attitude towards like the Capitol and the things she goes through. It's like she's so much more like badass. She's so much more like fiery. Like, she really is the girl on fire, and her attitude and the way she goes and thinks about things is so true. Like, she speaks up for herself all the time, and she just knows how to like speak her mind, and I love that. Another thing is Haymitch in the book is messy. Literally, the reaping, he comes on drunk and then falls down the steps after he throws up. Like he's just so much drunker and messier in the books. And I know he like drunk a lot, but I didn't know he was like messy. But okay, I'm gonna get back to reading. So far, what I really like is that it really is so close to the movie, or well, I do, because the books obviously came first, but the movies stick so well to the books. Another thing that I think is kind of funny, there was this part when they're at the very first training and Peeta mentioned something about like how he can decorate cakes, like when he decorated the cakes in the bakery back home at District 12. And you know, he's camouflaging his arm and stuff, and he literally says, suppose there's like a big cake in the arena, to like crack a joke. And I literally laughed because, does anyone remember that movie called Starving Games? It was like a parody of Hunger Games, but it was like a funny, like making fun of it knockoff version. And there's this part in the movie where Katniss is looking for Peeta in like the forest, and it's literally this big huge cake in the forest. Like, I feel like I'll put a picture on it. I remember it's like this huge decorated white and pink cake in the middle of the forest, and she's like, oh, where are you? And she can't find him, and then he's like, oh, I'm in the cake, and then he like steps out of the cake. And I don't know why that part just made me think of that, because I used to laugh so hard at that movie. But anyway, another thing that I think is actually kind of cute, and something else that they don't really elaborate on in the book, for one, you know how movies, when they make the movies, they have to like make a love triangle, and even Katniss getting her point of view in this, like, I don't really know if she has huge feelings for Gale, at least as of right now. I know it's like friendship feelings, but I don't think it's romantic. And in the movie, they were like right off the bat kissing, and you could tell there was something romantic there. But from Katniss' perspective in the book, they're not romantic, or she doesn't see him that way, at least yet. Or I don't know if they're gonna like paint that picture later on. She also obviously doesn't see Peeta that way. But what I think is cute is that in the movie, they don't really elaborate on the fact that Peeta knows who Katniss is. Like, she's not just some random girl. Like, they know who each other are. They're not just super random to each other. For example, Katniss brings Peeta's family, especially his dad, like squirrels that she catches, and they trade bread with Peeta's family, so Peeta knows who she is in the town. And after Peeta gave her that bread that one time, Katniss even said that they like shared glances in like the hallways at school and stuff, but they've just never spoken to each other. And even Katniss said, I don't really feel like going back to find it, but Katniss said like there's like this kind of connection with them. She just doesn't know what it is. And reading some of the stuff Peeta says now, I genuinely feel like Peeta did have a crush on that girl. He liked her. Like, he had like some kind of crush on her. And then, you know, the part where he gets on stage, I haven't specifically read that part yet, but I know in the movie that he gets on stage and he says like, oh, I like this girl from back home. A lot of guys like her, but I came with her. And obviously he's talking about Katniss. And I don't think he's kidding. He likes that girl, because in the movie, I just felt like it was like, oh, they lived in the same town. He gave her the bread, but then that was it. Like, they barely know who each other are at all. There's so much more depth to them as like a pair. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. And I do think Peeta actually really did like her, and then she just happens to get put in the games with him, which I think is actually really sad. He just says very specific things about her. I wish I could go back and find something. Probably the part where they're at the kitchen table, or they're at the table when they're talking to Haymitch. They've already left District 12, and he's like, oh, she's this, she's that, she can do this. She kills all the squirrels perfectly when she trades with my dad. He's just always pointing out stuff about her, and I'm like, why would you say that? How do you know that? Because he liked her all this time. I'm literally on chapter 10, which like they're just about to go into the games pretty soon, and I'm excited to read that. But yeah, I think it's been like a good 2 to 3 days since I last filmed to talk about the book. I know. Do I have an excuse? Not really. I've just been really busy. At least I think I have been. I've been working. I just haven't had the time to film. I'm not too comfortable yet bringing my camera with me literally everywhere yet. So that's probably why I haven't been able to like just sit down and film a video. But hold on. Can we like appreciate the hair right now? It's cute. Messy bun. And I literally whipped it up in like 2 seconds. It's not always the case when you do a cute messy bun when you're not going anywhere. And I'm literally just about to go to sleep in like a couple hours. The good thing is that I have been reading. I have been reading so much of it. Last time we talked, I was barely at the very beginning. I'm over halfway into the book now. She's been in the games for a while. It's been multiple days. As of right now, she's in an alliance with Rue, so she's already met Rue. She's already like cut the branch down that had the tracker jacker nest on it and killed the other 2 career tributes. But like I said before, it's kind of hard to just talk too much about the book because it's literally stuff that everyone probably already knows, who've already seen the movies, who's already read the books, which there's a lot of people, because this is obviously a very popular series that I'm just a late reader to, and I kind of already know everything that's happening in the storyline, so that's another reason why I'm like not really sure on what to talk about too much. But I will give my opinion on some things. Number one, I've said before that I love how everything is kind of so similar to the movies, or how the movies pulled from the book and made incredible, great adaptations. Just a few like tweaks here and there. But one of the things I realized that I really appreciate from the movies is that they were able to take what they got from the books and make incredible visionary choices. I hope that makes sense from what I'm trying to say. For example, when they're talking about like the orange skin, the crazy hairstyles, the crazy clothes, I truly do applaud the directing of the movies and the costume design and the visionary brains behind all the people who contributed to that movie and bringing this book to life. Once again, can we just applaud Suzanne Collins for even thinking of a storyline like this? Because for her to come up with something like this is like crazy. I'm just like, it's so good. Another thing that I think is kind of funny is that I mentioned in the last snippet of the video, the last time I talked to you guys, Peeta literally likes that girl. But what's even funnier about that, which is why I bring it up again, is because there's so many parts in the book where Katniss is like, oh, I wonder why he did this. I wonder why he did that. Why would he say certain things like this? Like, girl. She's just she doesn't trust a lot of people. I'll say that. Use your brain sometimes. Like, she's very intelligent in most of the book, but like some things I'm just like, put two and two together. Peeta likes you. He actually really likes you, and he was not joking about you being his crush. I'm pretty sure there's going to be more parts in the book that come up from what I remember in the movie that clarifies that. For example, there's a part where after she unleashes the tracker jacker nest onto the career tributes and they run, Peeta comes back and saves her and tells her to run. And then she's thinking like, oh, why would he do that? Why is he helping me? She even took it as far to ask Rue, like, what's his reasoning behind everything? Why would he do that? And I'm just like, girl, because he likes you. He may have been helping them to stay alive, but girl, he has the biggest, fattest crush on you, which is why he's going out of his way to do things to save your life. He may have been helping them find you, but he was never going to sit here and let them just kill you. Like, okay, wait, I actually wrote down pages in my notes of the parts that I was talking about. Page 197, even though I'm way past that now. Katniss says, Peeta, he saved my life, I think, because by the time we meet up, I couldn't tell what was real and what the tracker jacker venom had caused me to imagine. But if he did, and my instincts tell me he did, what for? Is he simply working the lover boy angle he initiated at the interview? Or was he actually trying to protect me? And if he was, what was he doing with those careers in the first place? None of it makes sense. He was trying to stay alive so they wouldn't kill him. That's the way I see it. Wait, okay, this is a perfect part. She says, if in fact Peeta did save me, I'm in his debt again, and this can't be paid back. If he did, it was all probably just part of his act, you know, to make people think he's in love with me. Okay, so yes. Some of it is an act because he did tell the entire Capitol that he was in love with you. But you gotta come to the conclusion that at this point, or maybe just because I'm seeing it from like a reader's perspective, it's more than just the angled girl. It's more he is in love with you. There's no doubt about it. She just hasn't really completely realized that. And then when Rue says, I don't think that was an act, Katniss says, of course it is. I say, he worked it out with our mentor. Okay. That's kind of all I'm really going to talk about for that or tonight, because it is currently 9:53. It's almost 10 and I'm kind of tired. So I'm probably going to go to sleep, and then I'm probably going to wake up tomorrow. I don't have work tomorrow, so I'm just going to read for a good chunk of the day. I'm hoping I can finish this maybe tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, because I just need to get through these books. I'm trying to get to Catching Fire. I will touch back base with you guys tomorrow. Hello, my loves. It has literally been so long since I've last updated about the series that I'm almost embarrassed to tell you how long it's been. Honestly, that last clip you saw was months ago. It's honestly not okay because I decided to film the video because I thought that it would help me read the books faster, but in reality I think it made it worse. Well, not worse, but because I felt like I had to keep reading, and then when I wasn't reading like on camera or had a space or like the time to go and lay on what I read, I felt like I had to keep pushing back my reading. And now I feel like I've just put myself in like the worst reading slump ever. Like, I read a couple pages of the series, or I'll tell you which like where I am in a little bit. It's been months, so like I haven't like read anything. So I'm physically trying to force myself out of that, and I need to finish this series so I can start reading other things and start making more book videos. Although one good thing out of it all is that I did finish the first Hunger Games book, and I loved it. The thing is though, I'm not sure why I'm in such a huge reading slump, because like the books are so good. I love the books. I was so excited, and I am so excited to read Catching Fire because it's literally my favorite movie out of the whole franchise. So I don't know. But yeah, I did finish the first book, and now I'm officially on Catching Fire. I started it, but you want to see how far I got? Here. This is how much I read. I'm barely 3 chapters in. There honestly isn't really much to relay about this book so far because I've barely read any of it, but I took some notes of what I wanted to say about the first book. So yeah, I kind of just made a little notes app of everything that I wanted to talk about in the first book that I knew I wanted to come back to, because while I was reading the book and I didn't have my camera to like record. The first thing I have written here is the scene where Rue dies. I thought that scene was much more like depressing than the movie. I do feel the movie kind of sped it up in a sense. Yeah, I would say it was a lot faster in the movie, and then in the books it's dragged out, and you're really truly getting an insight into how Katniss is feeling, what's in her brain, her thoughts. She sings to Rue. Like that scene actually made me like really emotional, and I was like, wow, it's just so much more intense. Speaking of which, I feel that all like the killings and the deaths of the characters, it's just so much brutal in the books, and I feel like that just made it more like saturated in a sense. Like it's still entertaining, but like sometimes I was like, wow, like this is kind of crazy. And then going off of that, the scene where the night, or I think it was like the day after, or like that exact day, Katniss like goes back to like her hideout and sleeps in the trees, and Rue's not with her because Rue like died. I feel like I've said this already, but I just love the authors of writing, because Katniss is explaining how she feels, but me as an audience, I know that she's like depressed, very, very depressed, and she has this deep sense of sadness in her. The way it's written is just so beautifully written, and it's explained so well through Katniss's emotions that I thought that scene was very sad to read, but also like beautiful to read. Another part I loved, and I wrote down, the little romance has me kicking my feet, and it's barely anything, and that's how I know I need romance back. Because in other videos I have said that I went on a romance bin, and I haven't started reading romance still in a while, which I kind of think I want to do a video on that, but that's besides the point. The part that I think I'm specifically talking about is when Katniss goes to find Peeta after they had just announced that they were going to let people come back as pairs, and she decided to go like try to track him down and find him. And then of course she ends up finding him like in the dirt and in the rocks. And for some reason I thought that scene was so cute. It was just so like, it made me giddy, and I'm not sure why, because I barely even did anything. It was just the way they interacted, and how she found him, and how she was happy to find him, and how he was so happy to see her, and the way she just took such like genuine good care of him, and I just loved that so much. And then obviously their little kiss in the cave, and then Peeta just really admitting how much he truly paid like so much attention to Katniss when they were like back home. The kiss between them was so cute. It just really moved me, and that's how I know like I haven't read romance in so long, and I need to start reading it again, and I miss it. Okay, another thing, the Avux girl, I hope I'm saying that right. She was like a redhead girl who Katniss had seen taken away one time when she was in the forest with Gale, and she ends up seeing her again when they're eating dinner like on the train. So she's like a maid, and like her tongue's cut out and she's not able to speak, so pretty much she's like a person who works for the Capitol, I'm assuming, or she's like forced to work for the Capitol. Katniss pointed it out, and they recognize each other, and they brought that up, Katniss's connection to it all, but they never really explain or bring her back up again towards the end of the book. And I thought she was gonna maybe be a character that came back at the end, or maybe she shows up in the rest of the books, but I have no idea. I just feel that with how many times they brought her up, I thought she would have come back into the story, and as of right now she hasn't. So I also just thought she'd be like a pretty cool character to just have in the story in some way, but I don't know. If you're watching this and she does come back then. And then oh my god, Peeta losing his freaking leg. I thought that was crazy, because in the movies that's not even a thing, but in the book he lost his leg. Like my first thought when I read that was like, how is he running around and catching fire? But yeah, I think that's a pretty like big thing they didn't keep in the movie, but I can see why they didn't do that. Him losing his leg did definitely take me for a loop. That's everything I have to say about the first book. The only thing I have written down for Catching Fire was like the longing and yearning between Katniss and Peeta, but I don't really know what's going on through Peeta's brain in the beginning of the book. Obviously we know that he really liked Katniss. I feel like the author's writing is just so good, and the way she writes things, I love it. I have me reading from Katniss's point of view. When Katniss expresses how she feels about Peeta in the beginning of the book, you can tell that she genuinely is like longing and yearning for him. Even when I don't even think she knows that she feels that way, but like in her brain, she's telling us the things she's thinking and how she's feeling. But I don't think she's processed in her head yet exactly what those feelings mean. And from my perspective, I'm assuming that she really truly does miss Peeta, and she's not sure why, and she really does just miss being around him and talking to him and being with him in some sense, which I thought was really cute. So I'm going to officially continue reading this book, and I'm going to try to get through as much as I can today. Physically sit down and force myself, and then I will get back to you guys. Can I just say, President Snow is the biggest hater of all time. He is a hater. I have finally finished Catching Fire. And honestly, that was like the biggest thing running through my head over and over again while I was reading it, is that President Snow is a hater. And like, he's like a villain. Like, he is the villain. Like, it's crazy. Like, the way his brain works is crazy. Anyway, I think the last video clip I showed was probably like a week ago. And honestly, once I picked up the book and like forced myself to read and got the ball rolling, it was so good. Or got through a huge chunk of it so fast, and then I got pretty busy, and then I just finished the rest out like one night. But for the most part, I genuinely could not tell you why I was in such a long and deep, depressing reading slump, because I don't think it was the book. The book was really good. And also, when I got into my reading slump, I was like barely that much into the book. So it couldn't have been the book, because like I didn't even read much of it before I stopped like reading. I just feel like it was so hard for me to pick up a book in general. So like any book I would have picked up, it would have been like hard for me to read it. But the book was so good, and I really, really, really loved it. I can definitely see why it would be my favorite movie out of the like whole franchise, and I think it probably will also be my favorite book. Okay, after what I said before about like the whole President Snow thing, he is the biggest hater of all time, because yes, I know he hated Katniss. Yes, I know like he wanted her dead. Like, I think that was like a big driving force of why there even was a second game for her to go back into. But the thought of like how he went about it, I'm like, I can't like fathom it. Like I said, I know he wanted her dead, right? He probably thought he couldn't just kill her randomly or have her like go missing or something like that, because she is so beloved by the Capitol. But at the same time, I'm thinking he was willing to risk 23 other people's lives just to get her back into the game and possibly kill her. I know for a fact Katniss was thinking that maybe the card that President Snow pulled out of the ceremony, where he was explaining what the quarter quell was going to be, or like what was the big twist, Katniss was thinking, oh, maybe like that card really was written all those years ago. But I think that's bullcrap, because I genuinely think that Snow put that in the box and purposely picked it. Like, you cannot tell me that that was not his plan. His plan was to kill Katniss. My thing that's really getting to me is that he risked and put 23 other people's lives in danger, killed so many other people in the games, or got so many people killed in the quarter quell, people who already went through the games and won, just to kill her. And to think about it, he wanted her to be killed on national television so the whole world can see. He's probably thinking, oh, she's gonna be killed anyway on national television so the world can see her get killed, and it won't be my fault, even though in the end, like, it really is your fault, because you put her back in the games. You could have changed the outcome. You could have stopped the game, especially when they announced that she was pregnant. President Snow is a hater. I don't care. I know Songbirds tried to like show some backstory of his life, but I personally, I can't see like that man in a good light. Obviously he's a fictional character, but like just reading the book and seeing what Katniss and Peeta have to go through again. They were only out into the real world for a year. 1 year. That's literally no time at all. Like, to be put in the games when the last one they put back in the games right like back to back is like crazy. And I think that's like, no wonder she's going crazy in the third book. I started the third book already. I'm only like 3 chapters in, but that's besides the point. Now let's get into some other points that I wanted to bring up that I put in my notes. I talked about the longing and like the way Katniss misses Peeta in the last clip, so I'm not gonna bring that up again. There was a part on page 86 where Katniss and Peeta were talking about their nightmares, and then Peeta was like, oh, but my nightmares are only about losing you. And I thought that part was so cute. And just to touch on that topic of things, I genuinely think that Katniss just doesn't know what she wants. Or she probably knows what she wants, but she's too scared to go for it. But then again, I also think she doesn't know which guy she wants to choose. Because the romance between her and Gale is like, she knows she loves Gale and she possibly wants to be with him romantically. But obviously like the state of things is holding her back. But then I'm also like, she knows she likes Peeta, but I don't think she realizes how much she likes Peeta until like towards the end of this book when they're like in the games. But in my personal opinion, Haymitch said it to her before, and even she says it, like, she does not deserve Peeta. Peeta is obsessed with her. He is in love with this girl, and she knows, but like she doesn't deserve him sometimes. I don't think she does. Peeta's character was another thing I wanted to talk about, because I would say that even in the movies, I was always like a Peeta stan, Peeta over Gale, because you know, like in the movies, they made you think there was like a love triangle, even though in the books, like there's barely a love triangle. Like there is, but they amp it up more in the movies, probably because it's a movie and they needed like something to add to the storyline. I would say that in the movies, Peeta sometimes felt like a side character to me, or I felt like we didn't really get to hear his voice a lot. And that could just be me, but in the books, oh my god, I love Peeta in the books. He is someone who speaks his mind more. He's more opinionated, and in the movies I just feel like they downplayed him as a character like just a little bit. For example, the part that really stood out to me was when they were in the like ugly dusty room after the first visit, when they were on the victory tour after they won, and that one guy got shot in the head, and Katniss had withheld from Peeta that Snow came to visit her and that this whole like uprising was happening and that things were like going crazy like outside of the capital. And Peeta had said, why wouldn't you tell me that before I just offered up all this free food for the tributes in District 11? Like, that's crazy. And then he was yelling at Haymitch and her about like them keeping stuff from him, because they do keep stuff from him, and I definitely agree with that. And he was like, yeah, don't let it happen again. I was like, Peeta. And then he knocked like something hard off of like one of the shelves and it shattered, and I was like, Peeta is standing his ground now. He got a backbone. I love him in the books. Obviously they do brush over a lot of things. In the first book they brush over a lot of things, but in Catching Fire I would say they definitely do keep everything pretty much to a T, like perfectly. The movie in this book line up really well. Like I said, there is some romance between Gale and Katniss, but Katniss is not allowing it to happen. I also mentioned that towards the end of the games, Katniss starts to realize her feelings for Peeta, and that definitely happens like during the kissing scene when they kiss, when they're on the beach before everything like blows up in their face when they're in the games. And once again, I feel that Katniss genuinely doesn't really know what she wants or fully embodies what she wants, and I think that holds her back a lot. I already know she's gonna pick Peeta in the end. I actually am excited to see how she feels and gets more of her thoughts on things in the third book, of how she feels knowing that Peeta is like gone and he's not with her anymore, that the capital has him. So that should be very interesting to read. But for the most part, I really loved this book. I'm excited to read the third one. I'm going to try to get through that one a lot faster than I got through this one, so fingers crossed. And I will get back to you guys when I read more of the third book, because I only like on the third chapter, so I really could not even talk anything about it, to be honest. I want to get through maybe chapter 10ish, chapter 11, and then I'll come back and make like another video about things. But yeah, those are my thoughts right now, and I will get back to you guys soon. Okay, so it has officially been, I think, like 2 days after that last clip, and I made a pretty big dent in the book. I am right here in the book, so I've got through that much, which I am still pretty proud of myself for that, because I still feel like I'm in a weird like feeling of where like I'm still having some weird withdrawals of me being in a reading slump, but I am powering through, and the more I keep reading it, the more I genuinely want to keep reading it. So that's pretty far for me technically. Why is there always such random sounds in the background of my video? Do you hear the birds? I do, and which is weird because there's usually never a lot of birds back here, but I guess when I finally want to film something, they want to start chirping. The planes are enough. The birds, please. Don't do this to me. I said I would give an update when I hit chapter 10, and as of right now I am officially in chapter 11. I will say I feel that I know why like the last two movies were not my favorite. That's not me saying that the book isn't good, because it's still really good. It's just I feel that a lot is happening, but at the same time, what really is happening? That's kind of like what I keep asking myself. Like, I know what's going on, but there's so many things that are happening all at once, so many things thrown into the story, and I feel that the plot just hasn't really crescendoed. Is that the right word? Or peaked. I feel like it just did right now though, but that's after 10 chapters. Right now, I literally just got to the part where they saw PETA on or the channel for the Capitol, and he warned them that there was about to be an attack on District 13 that everyone is currently in right now. He did indeed save a lot of lives. Everyone is rushing underground as of right now. I feel at this point, things are kind of starting to pick up in a sense. I said in my last clip that I was really excited to see Katniss's character react to PETA being gone, and I think it was perfectly portrayed. I feel that in the movie they kind of downplay a lot of her injuries and her mental deterioration, even with Finnick too, because in the movies I didn't get a sense that Finnick was a little cuckoo at all. But in the book, he's very off the rocker. I hope that's not like something rude to say, but her and Finnick are very not okay mentally. And I think it's really eye-opening to see the perspective of Katniss as her mental health plummets in a sense. Also, her just really spiraling at the fact that PETA is gone, of the situation of them being in District 13, and then especially now that they just saw him get beat on national television. The books really do make me appreciate Katniss as a character even more than I did in the movies. I'm trying to think if there's any specific things in the book that I want to talk about, but the fact that I can't think of anything specific is like, that's what I mean, because there's just a lot happening. Ooh, they did bring up that Avox girl that I brought up in a couple clips ago, where she was mentioned in the first book. They did bring her up again in the second book, but I don't think I ever mentioned that. She was her servant again in the second games. And then also Darius, who was a peacekeeper in 12 and also a friend of Katniss and Gale's, is also an Avox now, which is kind of crazy. I wonder like what happened for him to become that, but then they did say that he tried to protect Gale and he was knocked out on the ground when Gale was getting whipped. So I'm assuming probably because he interfered with the whipping and that made him become an Avox. But really, who knows, because really they're just punishing a lot of people for the most smallest of reasons. Katniss is the Mockingjay, and seeing that side of her is kind of nice to see. Once again, the push and pull of her and Gale's friendship and relationship, because Katniss is just going through a lot, and I think sometimes I forget that and I'm like just reading the book, but then when I come to think of it, Katniss has been through so much. She was put through the games twice, PETA's gone, and I don't even think she realizes how much she cares for PETA and loves PETA until he was gone. And even Finnick said that to her, because he was skeptical that it was like a show, because it was at first, never from PETA's perspective, but from Katniss's perspective, that it was just a show and they were never really truly in love. But then Finnick had said when PETA hit the barrier and almost died in the second games in Catching Fire, Finnick saw how much she cared for him, and that showed him that, yeah, like she really does care for him. And even he told her she probably doesn't even know how much she cares for him, but I think from a reader's perspective it's very clear that she loves him and she wants him back, and she truly does miss him and his presence with her. That's kind of all I really have to say for right now. I have nothing to do today. I just want to finish the book today. I'm gonna try my best to finish the entire thing today and just sit back here. I still have a lot to get through. Like, I'm not even completely halfway through. I'm almost halfway into the book, but that is what I'm going to do today. I am on a mission to finish this book today so I can wrap it up, finish this video, and talk about all three books as a whole. I'm gonna sit and read for as long as I can until I need a little bit of a break. The way she talks about Peeta is so cute. I'm on the part where they're asking her to just talk about him after everyone survived the District 13 bombing. And she just opens up about how her and Peeta first met, how he gave her the bread, and how it made her feel, and kind of admitting of the fact that Peeta has always like loved her and liked her. So I thought that part was pretty cute. And the fact that she physically like cannot be the Mockingjay until she knows that Peeta is alive and with them. Also, Gale and a bunch of other people already went to rescue people who were taken by the Capitol, which includes Peeta, Joanna, Annie, which is the girl that Finnick loves. Finnick was sold. Why is that so sad? The fact that he had to like sell his body to other people against his will, or Snow would kill the people he loved. That's insane. I've said it once and I'll say it again. I hate Snow. You will never make me like Snow or feel any sympathy for that man. Ugh. Okay, it has been a while later. Last time I filmed, it was probably like 3-ish. So it's been about, I'm gonna say probably like 3 hours. I've gotten through a huge chunk. Well, this is a huge chunk to me because it was a lot going on within this chunk of pages. I am on chapter 20 and now I only have this much left, which isn't a lot. I'm over halfway into the book now. I finally feel that things are picking up. The last thing I was reading when I last talked to you guys was when they were on a mission to go get Peeta, and Beatty was breaking through the broadcast to distract President Snow, and Finnick was telling his crazy story that I mentioned. So a lot definitely has passed since then, but now Peeta is officially back. Like, they rescued him. The first movie cuts off right when they rescue Peeta and he attacks her because they brainwashed him. And then the second movie picks up when he's brainwashed and he's like recovering from that. Now in the books, I genuinely feel that things are, I wouldn't say happening, because like I said, there's just been a lot happening and I feel like it's just been go, go, go. But now I feel that the plot is starting to peak in a sense. Oh, Finnick and Annie got married, so that was cute. The dynamic between Peeta and Katniss, which to be honest, there isn't really a dynamic right now. I will say the way that Peeta is in the books, I would say is worse than he was in the movies. The way he talks to her or treats her in the books is like kind of really sad to read, because he genuinely like no recollection at the moment of how he felt about Katniss. I'm going with you guys. And it's just kind of really sad to read, especially from Katniss's perspective and how she's feeling about it. I can kind of see both sides, because Katniss is very like angry and I feel like she's kind of taking it out on Peeta, but then at the same time it's kind of like you can't really be too angry with him, especially with everything that he went through, because what he went through was incredibly traumatic and against his will. Like, they're barely kind of insinuating what he went through, but I'm sure he was beaten endlessly and drugged and literally brainwashed. I feel Katniss isn't understanding that, but I do understand her feelings. I would be incredibly hurt too if the guy that I was starting to have incredibly strong feelings for, that I don't even realize that I love, was treating me like that and talking to me like that, pretending that I didn't exist or that he hated me and thought I was a mutt and not a live person. And it's just so sad that they wiped all his memory of all the happy memories he had with her and the feelings he had towards her, because now he has to relearn and gain all of those things back. The part that I liked that really put things into perspective for Katniss and as a reader was when Haymitch asked her. It was when they officially left District 13 to go fight in the war. They weren't really supposed to be fighting too much until things went out of hand and they were on the run. But Haymitch asked her, if the roles were reversed, how do you think Peeta would be treating you? And I can tell you now, Peeta would not be acting the way Katniss is. He would be doing everything he can to get her back and be sticking by her side and just doing everything for her, because he's madly in love with her, or at least he was before they brainwashed him. And now Katniss is starting to show sympathy towards him and just really start to see things from his perspective and just treating him so differently than how she was in the beginning. Honestly, I truly do commend Peeta, because he literally had his entire brain manipulated and like swiped of everything that he thought he knew and loved. There are a couple of memories that they weren't able to take from him, and I think those are the memories that genuinely in the end did help him in a sense. It was cool to read the Song of the Hanging Tree, because I remember in the movies when they came out, because Katniss singing the Hanging Tree song, from what I remember, was such an iconic moment in the movies. Now they're on a mission, and Katniss just lied and said that she had a mission to go kill Snow. And I already know what's gonna happen, and I'm kind of just preparing myself. But so far, I think that the book is really, really good. I feel like I'm gonna keep saying this. So many things are happening, and I feel that things are dragging, but I also think that things are very essential. Like everything that's written in the book and that Suzanne Collins put in the book and the way she's written it is like really essential to the story plot and the story of Katniss's life as she goes through ending the entire war and abolishing the Capitol, or the part that she plays into abolishing the Capitol. Ooh, another thing I was going to bring up was Katniss's loneliness in a sense, because I know that she's really lonely right now, and that drove her back to kissing Gale. Even though I don't even think she anticipated kissing Gale. There was a part where in District 2, I believe, because they were trying to take down District 2 because they were the last district that weren't taken over by the rebels, and she kisses Gale, but I think Gale can tell that she wasn't really into the kiss, and I think in that moment Katniss realized how lonely she was. And as a reader, I truly do think from that perspective you can truly see like how much she misses Peeta. But then again, I think in the end she's just really lonely, and she's trying to cling on to any source of human warmth and love. Where I am right now, Peeta is getting slightly better though, besides him attacking her when things went left when they were on their mission. A lot of people are going to lose their lives, and I know there's a specific character that I'm not looking forward to reading that part. I'm gonna keep reading. I don't have a lot left, and I know for a fact that I can finish this book tonight. I'm so sorry for the lighting right now. I'm losing so much lighting, but I'm gonna keep reading, and I will get back to you guys when I am officially almost done with the book. Finnick just died. I don't know why I didn't think it would hit me like that, because I already know that he dies, but I don't know. I think it's also because I associate Finnick with Sam Claflin so much, and I love Sam Claflin. I knew it was coming, like I said, but it still hurts to read. It's just so sad everyone like losing their lives over her mission. Even though it's not a real mission, which makes it like me think about it even more. But then again, I feel that they all knew her mission wasn't real, and they still decided to do what they did and go along with her and try to make it to Snow's mansion to kill him. Because at the end of the day, Snow does need to go. He has to go. He needs to be punished in some way. That was just kind of sad to read. And the way it happened too. It was like so quick, and everything happening was so quick. He didn't have to go out like that. Also, something I forgot to mention last time we spoke, they brought up the Avox girl again in this book. Peeta confirmed that her and Darius were killed when he was held at the Capitol, which is kind of sad to hear, because I genuinely thought that she was going to be a bigger character, or I thought they were going to bring her back and she was going to be part of something, just because of the way Suzanne wrote about her, the way she mentioned her. But she wasn't. She was just a little barely like unimportant. She wasn't an important character at all. But that was really sad to hear. At least Peeta was starting to realize and be able to detect what was fake and what was not fake. So that started to help him. Because he had said when the Avoxes were killed, that memory wasn't shiny. Because when they were putting the jacker venom in him, he could tell what memories were super shiny and very hallucinogenic, and then the real ones. But I'm so close to being done. But I'm going to take a little bit of a break and then come back and finish off the book. Why am I kind of sad that it's coming to an end? Even though I wanted to finish the series and get it out of the way. So it has been a while. A couple hours actually. I have been grinding it out and getting through the book. I am officially 2 chapters away from being done. I don't know how to feel, because I can feel things coming to an end, and it's like this weird feeling that I always get. I always get this really weird feeling whenever I finish like any series. Sometimes when it's single books, I get kind of sad, but especially when it's like long series, I get pretty attached to the characters, and I always get so sad when it's time to finish reading. And I can kind of for sure feel that coming on. A lot of people have died. Prem has died. Reading that scene was incredibly sad. I just truly feel for Katniss because she has gone through so much. Her losing her mind makes a lot of sense. But I have showered, I did my skincare routine, I put on a candle, and now I am drinking my nightly tea of peppermint and sleepy time tea. Snow revealing that Coin is the one who dropped those parachutes is a lot. Yeah, Coin killed her sister, and it could have possibly been Gale's bombs that killed her. Prem wasn't even 14 yet. Sometimes I always forget how young everyone is. Katniss is only 17. She's already been through the Hunger Games twice. Whew, crazy. But then again, a bunch of kids and children, unfortunately, in the story were passing away, so poor Katniss, poor Peeta. The games and President Snow literally effed up their life. Like, but I'm going to finish reading. 2 more chapters to go. Effie has made an appearance. Where has she been this whole time? In the movies, she was in District 13. I wonder why they rewrote it that way. I don't know how to feel because the whole point of everything was for her to kill Snow. A lot of people died for her mission to kill Snow, and she's not the one who killed him. I don't know. I feel like she should have been the one to shoot him after everything he put her through. And the fact that the mission was for her specifically to put an arrow through him. She wanted to put an arrow through him. I mean, I'm all for her killing Coin too, not gonna lie, because Coin was a nasty piece of work. Either way, both of them are dead. Hip hip hooray. Wow. I don't know how to feel right now. Joy that I finally finished the series, but I don't know, that last chapter just really got to me. Right now I'm just gonna talk about Mockingjay in general in the last couple chapters that I read. Parts that really stood out to me were, when Peeta really wanted to die and he just kept telling them to kill him. And that was really sad to see because I think when he watched back him attacking Katniss, he truly just didn't see himself, or he was so shocked that he can do that. And I think that really just shows how much he truly is not one with his brain, and that like they really hijacked his entire brain. He is not himself, and I think he realizes that, and it's just so sad to see that he really had to just relearn his whole self in general. I've already brought it up, but I think Katniss should have killed President Snow. I'm thinking she should have had 2 arrows, hit Coin, and then hit Snow. The last chapter, for some reason, just really got to me. I think it's kind of crazy just the jump and transition of her life, and literally just her going from such a hectic, dangerous, crazy, war-filled life to this quiet, still life. It's just kind of not technically sad, but in a sense it kind of is, because that's kind of all she knew for her whole life. But now she's just getting to live out this peaceful life. I'm so happy she's living out this peaceful life, but I know that the transition going from the life she had to the new life that she's building is going to be really hard. I'm just so thankful that Peeta was getting better and that he was there for her, because she was truly alone. Her mom didn't want to come back to District 13, and then Gale got a job in District 2, so he wasn't coming back either. And Haymitch is Haymitch. I mean, he's her family and he lives in the Victor village with her, but Haymitch obviously has his own issues that he needs to deal with. I'm just so glad Peeta was there for her. I was always a Peeta stan. Even when all the movies were out and I didn't read the books yet, I was always a Peeta stan. I always liked him better than Gale. I'm just glad that Katniss finally came to her senses and knew that Peeta was the one for her. I truly also feel sad of the fact that I wish Peeta could have known that Katniss chose him as his old self. Because imagine his old self, the one that loved her so dearly, would have done anything for her. Imagine him knowing that Katniss chose him in the end. I don't think he'll ever be what he was before, but he's gotten better and that's all that matters. But once again, I am kind of sad to just say goodbye to all of the characters just because how invested I was in them. I'm happy to have finished the series because it was a long time coming, and I genuinely just wanted to get this video out and be done with the whole series. And then the new books, The Songbirds and Centers on the Reaping, don't really connect to them at all. It's all before then, so we're not gonna get like anything of these characters anymore except for Hamish. What a wonderful way to end the series. Everything just coming perfectly together, and thank goodness for Katniss and Peeta just living out their life peacefully, having children, being in love. So beautiful. It is currently past midnight and I'm so tired. So tomorrow I'm going to give a huge debrief of all 3 books. I don't think I ever said my rating, so I'll say all my ratings tomorrow and then a whole rating of the series. But I'm so tired and I'm gonna go to bed. And the end has finally come. I officially finished the Hunger Games series. Honestly, I feel like this one was kind of so monumental because I was in such a reading slump and this took me forever to finish. In usual other circumstances, I get through books pretty quickly, but this one just took me forever to get through. And I mentioned I don't think it was because of the books, because the books were really good. It was just I was just in a slump and it was like hard to even pick up anything to read. It was a roller coaster of emotions reading the series. Even though I have seen the movie so many times, I haven't seen them in a long time. So reading the books, all in all, just gave an entirely like new perspective on so many things as the characters and as the plot. I really do commend the author, of course, because coming up with the concept and a plot like this is just honestly incredible. I truly do applaud her creative brain. The series as a whole, I definitely rate 5 out of 5 because it's just so good. I would rate the first book 5 out of 5. It was bringing in the whole plot of everything and the concept of the book and what the book was about. And just reading it for the first time definitely opened my eyes to the movies and the entire plot in general. Knowing that Katniss was going into this 16 years old, well, 17. But then again, the games happened again and it was a whole year. So she was 17 when she went into the second one, and then she was 16 when she went into the first one, I'm assuming. And just knowing what she went through, that's crazy. And to just know that kids that age were being killed for food. Insane. I also really like this book because I think it explains the blossoming of Peeta and Katniss's relationship. And then I would also rate Catching Fire 5 out of 5 as well. I loved this book. I think the plot ran its course perfectly, and the writing of this and the creativity that went into this book was just insane. I also once again do love everyone's connection, especially Katniss and Peeta's connection officially forming. Also Katniss's realizations and a lot of the things that are happening in her life. And then Mockingjay I would rate 4 out of 5. Only because I do feel that, and I said it before, the events of everything kind of just dragged. Although, like I said, things were essential, everything was essential, and everything that was written did need to happen, and I don't really think anything in the book was unimportant. It just felt that I was just reading so many things and nothing was like peaking until things really hit the fan. So yeah. I also think I'm rating them pretty high because the movies are super sentimental to me and I love the movies, and I just kept thinking about the movie and the book and going back and forth and seeing how much I love those. I think I already knew I was going to rate the books kind of high. I was going into it already very positive, and I think my love for the franchise in general fueled how much I was going to like it. Even though I know we're not getting any more past this timeline of Katniss's life, I can see why we would be getting other perspectives, and I love that we're getting other perspectives in this universe. I said last night when I finished the book that I actually really am sad to finish it. I'm sad to leave the characters and the storyline most of all, because I do get pretty attached with characters, especially when it's a multiple book long series. And the ending was honestly just so sad. A lot of people losing their lives. I kind of feel that at the ending, it sort of felt like Katniss was kind of discarded. But I don't want to say that because it's kind of like in a negative sense. But she was fighting for so long for this certain thing to defeat the Capitol. And now that that's done, they just sent her off back to 12. But even though I think that was good for her and she needs to start her life and have a much better life that's not revolved around fighting and war, but it was just so sad because it looked like she was so lonely, but thank God Peeta was there to come back to her. I really do love the ending though when Peeta asks her, "You love me, real or not real?" And she tells him real. And then it cuts into the scene of them being much older and them having kids and them just being so happy past all their trials and tribulations and the things that they had to work through mentally and physically. I just really loved the series so much. I know it's a series that I feel that I would read again later down the road, of course. Now I need to read Songbirds and Sunrise on the Reaping. I didn't want to include that in this video because I feel like this video is already very long. I also feel that this series is just a little bit separate from the other 2 books that already came out. I don't know if I'm going to do a video on reading those, but let me know if you want to see that. I doubt anyone will want to see that. All in all, such an incredible series, and I'm so happy I read it. I don't know what other popular series I want to read for the first time. I was thinking finishing off the Off-Campus series because I've only ever read 1 book from that series, and the show's coming out pretty soon. But let me know if there's any other series that you guys would like to see. If you are still here, thank you so much. I love you so much. Thank you for staying and watching this video all the way through. Thank you for listening too, because I had a lot to say, and following me on this journey of reading the Hunger Games series for the very first time. All of my socials are linked down below. You definitely should like and subscribe if you want to, but I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.